Hi again. Today I decided to work on two books. I've already done Strange Happenings. Remember, if you've not subscribed to Edutainment for Us, do so. That is where you'll meet me, Teacher Mutwenje, a lover of analysis. And I really like critical analysis because it makes you interact with diverse aspects and you learn a lot and you kind of dig deep into what you have to do. Now, this is another very interesting book, Toby'S Diary by Ebenezer Tabo. Now, as you can see, it is an approved junior secondary reader book, which I expect as a student in junior secondary, whether you are in grade 8 or grade 7, you must make efforts to interact with this. Now, I'll tell you about this book. The first page is written The School Holiday. Remember, this book is published by East African Educational Publishers, and the first publishing was in 2010. Then it was reprinted in 2014 and later on 2023. Now, as we begin the school holiday, that chapter is suggestive. Do you know what it means by a suggestive title? A suggestive title tells you something about what is under it. So what do you expect? What do you think the school holiday chapter will talk about? Who? Where will it focus? And how will the people in this story be involved? Now, in this story, we meet a boy known as Toby. He loves being called Toby, but he says his parents call him Tobias, possibly because they are old-fashioned. Do you know what it means by being old-fashioned? Do you also think your parents are old-fashioned? How do they call you? Do they call you in a way you like, or there is another way you like being called? Okay. So he says he hates being called Tobias. How many of you are called Tobias? And do you like being called Tobias or you prefer Toby? I know most of you would like the short forms and all that, and you would think if your parent calls you with the full name, that is wrong. So as we look at this book, we realize that Toby is in grade 7 and he's just 14 years old. Yeah? Are you 14 years? Which grade are you? Are you in grade 7 like Toby? Okay. So Toby tells us that we should not think he's not intelligent because he's 14. And remember, 14, sometimes people are already in Form 1. So he's saying, don't think that he's not intelligent and that is why he's in Form 1. It's only that in rural sometimes or in the village, school going starts late. So he's telling us that. How old were you when you went to school? Toby says he went to school when he was a bit older because in the village, parents think that children should grow up a bit and become strong enough before they go to school. Now, he tells us that the schools are closed and they are going for long holidays. When is your long holiday? Is it same as the place where I live? Because where I live, a long holiday starts in November and it goes all the way to December, and students open in January. But if you are in GCSE, it might be a different situation. Okay, so after attending a whole long year, remember term 1 is 14 weeks, term 2 14 weeks, then term 3 about 10, so he's now going for a long holiday. Now, that means that they are going to be at home and they'll play more, sleep more, just eat. What do you do when you close for such a long holiday? Now, that is village life. But he's saying sometimes students change locations and they go to towns. Some will go to a next village to see relatives. And life is happy because you are spending life away. Now, he tells us for him it was a different case. His uncle, who lives in Victoria, had written to the mother to tell him that he would come for him and he would go spend his time in Victoria. Do you normally have such uncles who think that you should go spend holidays with them or aunts? How do you feel about it? Or would you wish to have one? Okay. Now, here he tells us that just as they close, he's on his way home. And he's aware of this. He has told his friends that he will not be in the village. And some of the friends are very envious because they are wishing that they would be the ones to have uncles who would come for them. And in fact, some of them found it hard even to go to any town. So this is he's lucky. He feels lucky. Now, before he received his progress report, he says he was quite, anxious. He was wondering what he would get. And so when he got his booklet, the report booklet, currently we call it assessment book. Yeah, I believe so. So when he looked at it, he got it from the teacher. He did not open it immediately. Why do you think he did not open it immediately? What kind of person is he? Do you think he's stupid or something? Now, he says he opened it away from the friends. And he's telling us that we should not misunderstand him, that he had not actually expected to fail. But when he opens, he's so happy. Why do you think he's happy? He's happy because he comes third out of 70 learners. Have you ever been position 3? How many students are in your class? And how did you feel about it? Or if you have not been, would you wish to be number 3 out of 70? So he says it's not simple. So he runs to tell the news to the mother, and while he's running, he reaches a footbridge over the stream and he hears somebody calling. Do you know who was calling? It was Nyenti. Nyenti is a friend and a classmate to the narrator, Toby or Tobias. Now, Tobias tells him to wait, and when he comes to him, he asks what position he was, and he proudly says he was number 3. Do you normally tell your friends what position you are? Do you even have friends? Okay, so he knows he'll be promoted to the next grade then. Okay. We realize that Nyenti also just tells his friend that he's been promoted. And Nyenti confirms whether what he heard is true, that the friend is going to spend in Victoria. And he actually tells him that is what he will do. So they'll begin discussing life in Victoria. And Nyenti is asking him whether the going to Coast would allow him to see some things like botanical gardens, and whether this city is also known as OPEC City, OPEC. Do you know what OPEC means? Yeah, so we see Tobias having discussed with Nyenti, and they agree that the only way he can learn about OPEC and this city, Victoria, is to ask his uncle. Now, the uncle who promised to come immediately closes is a bit late, 1 week late. How would you feel if your uncle told you would come for you immediately you close, and then when you close, he doesn't come? And then how would you feel then after he arrives a week later? So he goes to play and comes back home and sees that the mother is sitting with the uncle and they are taking porridge. Do you take porridge at home? Okay. So he tells us it is a Saturday, and after playing, he finds the uncle taking porridge with the mother. What time was it? Remember, there was a hurricane alarm, and so he goes in. What does he do? Immediately he comes. He runs to pick the report book and brings to the uncle. Why did he do that? Is it because he was number 3 out of 70? Now, the uncle looks at the assessment book and says that he's quite intelligent, and if he continues like that, he will automatically do well in the the common entrance exam. Yeah. So which country is this if they have common entrance exam? In Kenya, we don't have that, do we? Or do you think we have? Check out. So the uncle, he starts asking the uncle questions about OPEC, And the uncle tells him OPEC means Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, but it's not actually the other name of Victoria as many people think. So have you gotten the answer of what OPEC is? Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Now, when he keeps asking questions about the car, whether the uncle has and why he did not come with it, the mother tells him, your uncle is tired and you're disturbing him. Do you normally disturb visitors who have just come at home, or you give them time to rest? Do you think the um, narrator was indisciplined? Okay. So we see that later on he goes to sleep, and he was a very disciplined boy, by the way, because he tells us he normally obeys. He's very obedient and he obeys. So he went to check the dictionary, and later on he tells us at night as he slept, he dreamed that he had already arrived in Victoria. Whenever you have a journey, do you dream about the place like Tobias did? Now, he wakes up in the morning and notices that he's not in Victoria but at home. So he leaves the bed and goes to the sitting room and later on outside. Then he finds the uncle doing something. What was the uncle doing? So the uncle was brushing his teeth with a chewed stick. Do you brush your teeth with a chewed stick? Okay. So he greets the uncle, and then he finds out that the mother is cooking in the kitchen. So he thinks it's too early to ask questions. Do you begin asking people questions early in the morning? So he goes to the kitchen, and he informs the mother that the uncle told him about leaving. The mother confirms that it's true. And the mother tells him that's why she woke up early to prepare some breakfast for them. So the narrator, or Tobias, whistles a song and then goes to the hut. What do you think he did? Now, this is a bit of a long novel, so I won't tire you with a lot of discussions. I'll just do the first. I hope you've learned something about Toby'S Diary, and you're going to ask your mother or father or uncle or anyone to buy for you this text so that you continue reading and understanding more about Toby. And what diary is this? Bye bye for now.